Oh no. Oh, wait, we're good. Oh, hey everyone. So, many of us often play solo. And if you're wondering how on Arrakis are you supposed to gather spice as a solo player, then don't worry, because today I'm going to go over some of the best strategies for gathering spice as a solo player. No guild or backup plan required, so let's get to it. Before we get into it, I know each server is different, and some guilds might be more aggressive toward players gathering spice than others. From what I have heard, servers vary greatly, and it will be important to take the general vibe of your server into account when employing these tips. Also, many of these tips will apply to gathering spice as a solo player in the PvP section of the Deep Desert, since that will be the most challenging to navigate. But we'll also get into some tips for farming spice in the PvE area, Hagga-Basin, and other general tips to help you on your quest for spice, so let's get into it. Alright, first things first. Don't take anything into the Deep Desert that you're not okay with losing. There's obviously always a risk, even if you're with a squad. But especially if you want to solo spice farm, you need to be ready to lose it all at any moment. That's just the reality of the Deep Desert. Something that can help is to make sure you're paying attention to the global chat. Even if you're not actively chatting, a lot of people use it to call out spice flows or PvP hotspots, and it's one of the best tools you've got to avoid conflict and find good farming zones. And sometimes, even tossing out a few friendly messages each time you hop on helps people to recognize you and your Thopter, and see you as a non-threat. Being known as friendly goes a long way. If you're consistently showing up in the same zones, tossing out quick greetings in chat, and avoiding hostile behavior, other players might recognize your ship and leave you alone. You may even find other friendly solos to tag along with for strength in numbers. A little diplomacy can go a long way in the Deep Desert. Of course, this doesn't always work. But if players in the community start to get familiar with you, and know that you don't wake up and choose violence, but rather just want that sweet spice, then they may be more likely to just leave you alone. So keep an eye on chat for informative chatter and get your name out there. Pretty straightforward, but one of the easiest ways to lower your risk is to farm during off hours. Basically, you'll want to avoid border zones and high traffic hours or days in your time zone. Most of my successful spice runs have happened late in the evening or early in the morning, when the Deep Desert was practically a ghost town. The day of the week can also matter. I have found that Mondays are typically good days for solo spice farming, as most of the larger guilds have completed their weekly objectives and gotten their fill of spice, for now. This may mean you might have to be a bit more strategic about your schedule, but less activity means fewer players, and that means less PvP and competition, and more spice for you. If you're running a Scout Thopter, the best strategy is to fly high, really high. Do your best to maintain an altitude of 780 meters or higher. This will keep you out of most players' render range. That makes it harder to spot you, and it gives you time to assess any activity below before you land. If a spice field has high player activity, that could help you go unnoticed while harvesting your spice. But it may also signal that it's safer to forgo the risk and move to a less populated spice field. Something to note is that the wing wave has kind of become the universal signal for friendly intent. So if you see it or use it, it might buy you some space. If you're in a large ringmouth flow, stick to the outer edges. It's much safer, especially when there are multiple players or guilds in the area. Guilds don't usually like it when you are picking up spice directly in front of their crawlers. Many will fire upon solos that don't respect the personal space of their industrial spice vacuums. So do your best to claim your own area out of the way of the main commotion, and you will have a decent chance at being left alone. When you do land to start harvesting, be sure to stay near your Thopter in case you need to make a quick exit. Also, be on the lookout for medium spice flows. These often have less players to compete with, but will still yield a solo player a decent amount of spice. Of course, circle the area before committing to landing. If someone else is already there, don't land right away. give a wing wave, and you can always toss a message up in chat to see if they're okay with sharing the wealth. If you're using an Assault Thopter, your best targets are medium and large spice blows. Probably don't bother with rockets if you're solo. It's usually safer to run a booster and an inventory module. This will allow you to harvest more spice and also quickly escape an unsafe area using the booster. Again, be sure to stay near your Thopter while harvesting. As mentioned, medium spice blows are often the safest for solos, since there's less activity at these spice blows. And if there are players there, it's typically easier to communicate with them since there isn't as much chaos. I have had multiple experiences harvesting from medium blows near a large ringmouth blow, and most people either don't notice the medium blow or simply skip it and head for the large. These medium blows have more sand than you could ever carry in an assault, so don't worry about getting it all. In large blows, again, stick to the perimeter and your own little bubble. You're less likely to get caught in crossfire, and the chaotic nature of multiple groups around can actually work to your advantage. Just keep an eye out for any aggressive behavior or stray rockets. Even if you're not the target, it's usually safer to get up high in the air. Assess the situation, then decide if it's safe to stay or better to head out. Having the proper equipment can definitely make your spice runs as a solo player easier. You'll want soft step boots and a high gather medium worm attraction compactor. This combo makes almost no noise, which means you can stay landed longer in big spice fields. Not only will it help you be safer from sandworms while collecting, but it will also make your spice runs go much quicker, since you can avoid worm detection for longer, allowing for fewer liftoffs. It's a low-profile setup that lets you quietly stack up huge hauls. If you don't have access to the gear above, a tool that may be helpful is a thumper. Set a few of them a ways out from the spice field, and that should provide a similar effect. Additionally, be sure to have plenty of fuel in your inventory so you don't get stranded, and have a surplus of water since you go through it quickly while harvesting in the sun. And it's never a bad idea to have a spare compactor in case the one you're using breaks. Another option is to fly around the PvE area of the deep desert and scavenge whatever you can. A good way to go about this is to fly around to each of the islands and grab any titanium, stravidium, and small spice blows that you see. It may take longer to gather larger amounts of these resources, but they will definitely add up if you prefer to avoid all PvP. If you're really not looking to engage in the risk of PvP or the vast sands of the deep desert, Hagga-Basin Spice blows are still a decent option. But be warned, they're limited and often contested. A good strategy is to find areas that frequently have spice blows pop up and build bases near these spots, so that you have a better chance of being the first to snag the spice. You'll have to be pretty fast to beat others to it. This makes the PvE section of the deep desert a better bet if you're trying to avoid conflict entirely. You can definitely still snag some good spice hauls in Hagga-Basin though. It just might not be as reliable as the deep desert. As a solo player, you won't have anyone to distract or give you status updates on sandworms while you're collecting spice. This means you'll want to prepare for success with a few easy tools. Again, using soft step boots, compactors with less worm attraction, and thumpers can offer some safe haven from Shai Hulud. And when in doubt, don't take any chances. As soon as the worm signs appear,
get to the chopper!
It's better to be extra cautious than to get munched by the worm and lose everything. Finally, a tool that you might not know about are API maps. I will leave a link to a site I use in the description below. These are third-party websites that show some of the most important deep desert information that you can use to make your run safer and more efficient. These maps reveal where large spice fields, testing stations, and shipwrecks are located for the week. You can use this information to plan your trek before heading out, and potentially avoiding some high-traffic areas where large guilds might frequent, allowing for safer and larger spice hauls. So yeah, that's everything you need to know about how to grab spice solo. Hopefully these tips will help with that spice is life grind. If they did, please leave a like and subscribe. Let me know in the comments other helpful tips for solo grinding spice. Also, don't forget to join my Discord and channel and check out my socials below. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the Spice Bloom.